All right, it is the beginning of No Nut November. I know many people, many men, of course, are on the bandwagon. It's something that we do every single year all across the globe. Men take part in this challenge. No Nut November. It's basically taking on a no fap, no pornography, no masturbation, no ejaculation for the month of November. And I'm happy to be supporting guys through this process. In today's training, I'm going to be talking about 3 different techniques that you can use so you can have a successful No Nut November. Talking about how to transmute your S3X energy so you don't feel like you want to ejaculate, like you don't want to go and jerk off. And I'm going to be talking about a tool, one of the most powerful tools I've come across since I've been involved in this business of helping men master their S3X energy, so that you can have access to this tool and try it out. 79% of men who use this tool experience an elimination or massive reduction in their pornography habits. That's a massive success rate, guys. And I'm going to be sharing with you how you can give this tool a try right on your phone. I'm so excited for you to learn about this. I'm going to play our what do you call it? Our entrance music, and then we'll get into it. Thanks for everybody here joining live. Let's rock and roll.
Soldiers retain, real strong men are self-control, their info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into your brain. Your whole game will change. Soldiers retain, soldiers retain, soldiers retain. Real strong men are self-control, their info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into your brain. Your whole game will change. Soldiers retain, soldiers retain.
Semen retention soldiers, No Nut November. We're here. We're rocking and rolling. I hope you guys are already into it. It is November 3rd, 2022. So every single year, we are on this challenge. This year is really special because, again, as I mentioned at the beginning, we've got a special tool for you that you can take advantage of. 79% of men who have used this have been seeing a massive reduction in their pornography use and eventual elimination. That is huge. In the days of internet pornography and the over-sexualization of almost everything, it's important as men that we equip ourselves as best as we can to navigate this. So let's dive into the 3 techniques that I want to share with you about how you can be successful in No Nut November. By the way, if you're here live, say what's up, leave some comments, whatever platform you're looking at, YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're on Facebook, you get notified, all that kind of good stuff. So the first technique is to create a vision for yourself. Now, this is not an elimination or a negative goal. What do I mean by a negative goal? Most people, when they create goals, their goals sound like this. And check in and see if this is you. I don't want to jerk off anymore. I am going to stop smoking weed. I don't want to be broke anymore. Right? So in this case, we're talking no November. I don't want to watch porn no more. I don't want to jerk off no more. Let me ask you this. What happens when I tell you not to think of something? What do you end up doing? Thinking of the very same thing that I just told you not to think of. Don't think of a pink elephant. Don't think of a pink elephant. And what you're doing? Thinking of a pink elephant. This is a misuse of your mind. Your mind is a tool no different than the cell phone or the hammer. If I have a hammer and I know how to use that hammer is going to be used for the benefit of myself and everybody else. I'm going to be able to build furniture and fix things and do great things with this hammer. If I don't know how to use the hammer, that same hammer that has the potential to do great things is now going to be used in a destructive way. I'm going to use that hammer to maybe hit someone over the head, which is not what it's supposed to be used for. I'm going to use that hammer and create destruction. Well, your mind is like the hammer. If you don't know how to use the mind and train yourself to use the mind, upgrade your ability to use your mind. Most people want to upgrade their iPhone. They want to upgrade their marriage. They want to upgrade everything outside of them. But what most people and most men don't do, and this is why you need to be part of the rare men who think differently, is upgrade themselves. When you upgrade yourself and your ability, when you learn how to upgrade your body, when you learn how to actually be somebody who upgrades themselves and learns to use their mind as a tool, then you have the ability to actually use your mind in a beneficial way. What's up, Captain Jake?
Yo, what's up? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think the times changed without us knowing again.
Oh, no way. Okay, that's what happened. I was like, where's
Like
this
an
guy
hour
at?
earlier.
Oh, no, you're always on time, dude. It's all good. Happy to have you here. Just see if you could plug your headphones in, because there is a little bit of an echo going on. So, yeah, just you can hear me okay now?
Yeah.
All right, we're good. So just to catch you up, what we're talking about is the first technique to being successful in No Nut November, which is understanding what our mind is. Our mind is a tool. Our mind has the ability to be a constructive tool or a destructive tool. Most people are using their mind in a destructive way because they're unconscious to the way the mind works. What happens is when you set a goal for yourself, and your goal is a positive goal, not a negative goal. So the goal that most people are going to go into with No Nut November is, I'm not going to nut, right? I'm not going to bust.
Negation goal.
Negation goals. But actually, what we teach here is positive goals. Because when you have a positive goal and have a vision for yourself, that doesn't include masturbating, that doesn't include watching pornography, then that is what your mind is thinking of. That's why I don't acknowledge negative shit in my life. Very rare. Like I try as best as I can. Of course, we all get negative sometimes. But I've noticed I'm getting better, but I just don't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
See, we try to look at everything in the most positive way. And what this is doing is using the faculty of imagination. Now, here is where you got to understand how the mind works. If I'm telling you, don't think of something, don't think of watching porn, don't think of this, don't think of that, that's what you're going to think of. And your mind, through the faculty of imagination, starts to create or send signals out to your own body. It starts to send signals down to your body. This is what we're doing. So the mind is a 100% positive or affirmative tool. It does not know the negation, and it doesn't have discriminatory factor, meaning it has no intelligence. It can't tell whether what it's doing is constructive or deconstructive. It's just an obedient servant. It simply follows the instructions you're giving it. So if you're giving it instructions that are, don't do this, don't do that, I don't want to feel bad anymore, I don't want to be depressed anymore, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that.
It just hears sad, depressed.
That's it. All it's hearing is sad, depressed, anxiety. I don't want to watch pornography. All it's hearing is go watch pornography.
Watch. Did I hear watch pornography? I think you said that.
Yeah, I believe you told me to watch pornography. I'm pretty sure that's what you said. So the deal is, the first technique is to set positive goals. Learn how to set good goals to give your mind an activity. Here's another bullshit that's going on, especially in very like new agey type circles. I am going to silence my mind. Well, that's easy. Just wait long enough, and when you're dead, trust me, your mind will be silent. Right? That's not an accomplishment. Silencing your mind is not an accomplishment. All you're doing is stopping a natural river from flowing. A river wants to flow. Your mind wants to create. It's why God gave you a mind, so you can go create, so you can engage it like a tool into its proper use. Why would you want to take the most powerful tool that you have from a material perspective, which is the mind, and then silence it?
Yeah.
The only reason you would want to silence your mind is because your mind is causing you dissatisfaction.
Just stop suffering. A lot of the time when people, it's a lot of the time people who have been through depression or something, and they get to such a desperate point where they rather think they're nothing. What a sad place to be. It would get rid of all emotion, silence the mind. There is nothing. It's complete negation.
Complete negation. Yeah. I'm going to silence the mind. Okay. So you're saying nature has equipped you with one of the most powerful tools, if not the most powerful tool that we know of in this universe, and you want to silence it?
Yeah, because it's been going badly. So then they want to just throw the whole thing out.
That's right.
There's suffering, too much suffering.
It's too much suffering. And that's just a misuse of the mind. That means you haven't trained your mind up. It's like having, let's say, a dog, and the dog is supposed to be obedient, right? When you say walk, it walks. When you say sit, it sits, right? You can see someone who's trained their dog really well. That dog is like, they don't even have to put it on a leash because the dog listens.
Yeah.
If we compare the mind to a dog, it's going to do what you instruct it to do. So by giving yourself a positive goal, not only am I going to just not nut in November, fine, you have the negation goal. That's easy. What are you going to do? I'm going to have the best month of my life. I'm going to work out like I've never done before. I'm going to work out for 30 days straight. I'm going to walk 5 kilometers or miles per day. I am going to use the extra time that I've gained because I'm no longer watching pornography or jerking off to grow my business, to get into the best shape, to be the best father or husband I can be, to get that project done that's been sitting there for 6 months, you know? When you give yourself a positive goal, you give yourself something to engage in, and the mind is not going to be silent. Someone who comes says, I've silenced my mind. Bullshit you have. The mind is not silent. The mind is a creative tool. What you're telling me is you're not creating anything beneficial in the world. So it's no value. A silent mind has no value. Guys, write down in the comments below or in the chat if you're here live, what is your positive goal? What are you working towards? Why are you doing No Nut November? There's got to be something you want. And if it's just not to nut, it's not going to be good enough to take you the whole way. That's why having a vision for your life is so important, a vision for who you want to become. It also gives you a point of decision making. Do I watch porn or do I not? Well, just look at your vision for your life. Is porn included in your life? If it's not, then don't do it. Right? If being healthy is part of your vision, then you're going to start to make good choices with your food. You're going to start going to the gym or working out. You're going to start making the decisions that align with the vision that you're installing. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to take this vision. I want you to write it down and make the vision 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Make it something where it's long term so you don't feel this pressure that, oh God, I got to get it perfect today. Drop perfectionism and just start to go with progression. Progress towards that vision every day. And what you want to do is you want to read it every single night and you want to read it every single morning, because right before you fall asleep is when sleep is one of the easiest ways to access the subconscious mind. So until you've got a certain level of self-control, you sleep to assist you in rewiring your mind. And the way you do that is you get into a very relaxed state. And then in a very relaxed state, right before you fall asleep, read your vision and feel. This is the secret of talking to your own subconscious mind and essentially talking to the universe. You have to feel the feeling as if your vision already existed. I'm going to say that again so it sinks in. You have to feel the feeling of your vision already existing. That is the secret of how you program your subconscious mind and essentially your body and your vibration. If you want more money in your life, you have to feel rich before you ever see that money. If you want a better relationship, you have to feel like you're in love or that you have that relationship way before that relationship actually manifests the way you want it. If you want better health, you have to feel like a healthy person, a healthy man, way before you actually see the physical signs of good health.
Yeah, because again, it's like negation, right? Like it works kind of the other way. If you keep saying, I want this, I want to be rich, I want that, it means you don't have it because you're lacking it. So actually what you're putting out there is, I don't have this thing, no matter how many times so until you put out the energy of I have it, then that attracts, like attracts like. Otherwise we're getting either more lack or mixed messages, because all we're doing is wishing we had things,
That's right. And just by very wishing you had someone, like going like, oh, I want this, you're acknowledging you don't have it. So Jesus Christ said that he who has, much more is given. And he who has not, much is taken away.
Yeah.
It's a metaphysical principle. He's saying he who has it in consciousness, it will be given and more. And he who has not, the person who doesn't have it in consciousness, who isn't it in their being, much is taken away. That's why most people, whatever they wish for, continuously eludes them.
Yeah.
All right. So the first step is to set a goal. So you're giving your mind an activity.
Make a decision in line with your vision and mission.
Nice. I like that. Number 2 is get around other men who are practicing No Nut November, who are practicing, as Tushar Sharma just said, what's up, Retain Gang? Get around others who are part of the Retain Gang, or in our case, the Semen Retention Army. And when you sign up to the free ejaculation control guide, just go to any one of my videos on YouTube. There's the free ejaculation control guide link. You can sign up for free. It's a free program that you could take to help you last longer in the bedroom and start to practice the transmutation of your own sexual energy. But not only that, you also get, when you get the email that comes with it, it's going to give you a link into our free WhatsApp group, the Semen Retention Army, where you're going to get around other men practicing this lifestyle. You become like those you associate with. And the first principle of association is, who do you listen to? If you're talking to your broke ass friends, you're going to become broke ass. If you're broke ass, if you're hanging out with unhealthy people and you're not around healthy people, well, you're going to live up to those standards and you're going to be unhealthy. If you have to put yourself in the environment of the things that you desire. If you desire higher spiritual awareness, you have to get around people who are spiritually aware. This is the principle of association. If you're hanging around with men who are full of vice, addicted to pornography, addicted to everything that the world throws at them, then guess what you're going to become? You become like those you hang out with. Now, I know at the beginning it's a little bit tough because you're like, well, maybe I don't have such great positive influences around me. That's the reality for most of us. But you're not an animal where you just have to go, well, this is the cards I was dealt. This is it. No, you have the faculty of mind, imagination. You have willpower. You can exercise that willpower to put yourself in the environment of where you want to be. You know why I love going to the gym? Because I'm around the environment of other people working out. Right?
Gives you a different level of motivation than working out at home.
100%. I love getting into the gym. I used to like working out at home a lot, which, it was good, but I've recognized I've recognized my workouts are definitely at a different level once I hired a coach. So I have a trainer, and my trainer, by the way, he just won the Flex Lewis Canadian Maritime Canadian Championship. So talking about the best in the Maritimes, That's my coach. That's the type of coach I want to have. That's the type of mentor I want to have. The best in their field. That and sometimes I know you're like, well, maybe I can't afford it or whatever. You can buy books. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he started working out, he was broke. He didn't have no money. He just put up pictures of really ripped guys around him to use that as an inspiration to what is possible for himself. So you want to get around other men practicing No Nut November, and we've got the Semen Retention Army WhatsApp group for you. It's free. So all you have to do is sign up and get in and jump in the conversation and take advantage of the motivation and inspiration. So number one technique is setting positive goals. So you have your negation goals. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to watch porn. I don't want to ejaculate this month. Great. But what are your positive goals? Set that, read it every single morning and every single night so that you can use sleep as an aid to help you reprogram your mind. And why you want to read it in the morning is that's when you're fresh, right? The world hasn't, before you get on the phone and before you do all that stuff, install in your own mind and imagination where you want to be or what it is that you're creating and feel it. It's the secret. You have to feel as if it already exists, which means you have to deny the senses. Because the senses are only picking up the material matter. So you look at your bank account and go, well, I don't feel rich. You have to deny the senses and say, no, the senses, matter follows consciousness. In my consciousness, I am rich.
You have to become greater than your environment.
That's right. Because actually, as spirit souls, as realized souls, we can influence and shift our environment. That's the gift of being in the human form. We have that ability, but we have the potential of that. But we have to actually work it out. We have to upgrade ourselves so that we can actually execute that. Then we can create heaven on earth.
This is a big modern mistake in the paradigm, isn't it? As you said, they think matter creates consciousness, but clearly the other way around, you know. That goes from subtle to gross. That's how things are formed. Things come from energy, and they become matter. So we can influence that if we tune into it, not just be affected by the matter, by our environment. It's the wrong way around, you know.
That's exactly it. And actually, it's the Napoleon Hill has a nice little paragraph about this. He says you can use the mind, or what in yoga we'll call the discriminatory factor, intelligence, to deny what you don't want to enter into the subconscious. So for example, let's say you're at the grocery store and you're standing in line and there's some guys talking about porn in front of you. You're right. They're like, oh yeah, did you see that porn? Blah, 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 blah. They're talking some bullshit that you don't want to hear. You don't want that in your mind. It's almost impossible if you're going to be in the world not to hear negative things, not to hear things of a negative nature. So what you have to do is use your mind to protect your subconscious mind. Male has to protect female. In the material, we look at that as masculine and feminine, but it's a metaphysical principle. The male is the conscious mind, and the feminine is the unconscious mind. The protector of the unconscious mind, and the unconscious mind is the womb of creation. It's where everything is created, right? So how we act that out in the physical world is men are providers, protectors. In the metaphysical way of looking at this is that the conscious mind is like a shield or a protector of the subconscious mind. So let's say someone's telling you some nonsense. Oh man, forget that shit, man. No, not November. It's natural to just watch porn and jerk off. It's actually healthy. I read a magazine that said you should ejaculate 21 times a day so you don't have prostate cancer, right? Some bullshit like this, right? Then you use your mind, your intelligence to reject that. So your job is supposed to reject things. Like, you know, being positive doesn't mean, oh, I'm just positive. I allow it all to happen. No, that's stupid, right? That's not positive. That's just dumb. You have to use your wisdom. You have to know. That's why you have to have a vision for your life. And that way, when anything that comes into your awareness that is not aligned with your vision, you reject. No, I just don't accept it.
the mind makes decisions based on your identity. So you have to decide on your identity and who you're being and what your commitments are. Therefore, when anything comes into your consciousness, the mind can decide, no, that's not who I am. That's not, not who I'm being. But if you don't know that, then any options could tempt you. Oh no, maybe I am. Maybe I could do that. But the mind makes decisions based on your identity, your ego, what you think you are. So you have to know that. You have to know your goals, know what you're doing.
That's why your self-image is so important, right? Because it's your identity, right? So if you identify as a self-controlled, self-mastered powerhouse man, then naturally you're going to stay away from anything that takes away from that power. Right? Because you're just going to be like, no.
You feed your intelligence with good information, with people, so then it has more of these options to decide, oh, that is the life I'm leading. I'm a self-controlled man. I choose that. You provide it with the right information. You choose your goals and your identity, and then you're able to live that life. But if you don't do that, then it's very hard to do, because you're not committed to any particular lifestyle, and you're not even hanging around people who can give you the right information. So of course you're going to end up just being like you've always been. You're just around the same stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So we have to really, really be conscious of that, and again, develop it over time. All right, and the third technique is accountability. So one of my mentors said to me, you're not really serious until you're willing to be held accountable. Right? You're kind of just wishing for things. You want things to happen, but you're only really serious when you say to somebody else, hey, can you hold me accountable to this?
Yeah, because you could just do anything in secret. You could portray that identity to the outside world, but really you're not being that. So you can't have any secrets.
Yeah. And here's who you can't protect no secrets from God or universe, whatever you want to call it, Krishna, Allah, Jehovah, Christ. There's no secrets there. God is within you. He knows what you're doing, right? So there's no point of lying to yourself. There's no point of lying. Jesus said the truth will set you free. I think there's higher ways of looking at that, very metaphysical or very spiritual ways of looking at that. But at the same time, it's a very practical teaching. Be truthful in your dealings. Be truthful with yourself. No little white lies. We've got into a culture where the truth is what's palatable rather than what's actually truth, right? I mean, the whole wokeism that we're experiencing, this infectious philosophy that's taking people's mind. It's like a mind infection. It's like, well, it doesn't feel good to tell people, or it doesn't feel good for someone to say, there's only two genders. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't matter if it feels good or not. It's the biological factual truth, right? It doesn't matter whether it's palatable or not. We have to learn to be truthful, because power is in truth. Because internally, you cannot lie to yourself. You can lie to the world. You can put on the facade, but you have to be truthful. And actually, in this particular age that we live on, it's pretty much the last leg we've got. Like in our current environment, we got one leg to stand on to keep us above total destruction and just totally falling into total weakness and darkness, which is, can we at least be truthful even about your bullshit? Meaning like, yeah, I'm still watching pornography. All right, just say it. Right? Yeah, I'm still jerking off. Okay, say it. You and 90% of the world, or 95% of the world. Like all this shame and trying to put on this kind of like image, that's what's actually stopping your progress. There is strength in vulnerability.
I also heard it. We were talking about commitment a lot this week, and someone in our group said something like, who you are in private is who you attract in public, or what you attract in public. So all this, like you can't lie to yourself. You have to be living that lifestyle in private for you to expect your life to really be that way. You can't just pretend outwardly you're doing it, It's who you
Law
really
of
being.
attraction states that like attracts like, and there's no lying to it. That's why people, again, you can't, you can say anything you want to someone, but the results are is actually like Jesus put it this way: you'll know a man by his fruits. How do you know a tree? By the fruit.
By the fruits it bears.
By the fruits it bears. If you depending where you're at in the world, it's an apple, a pear, a mango, a banana, right? Here where I'm at, it's apple trees, right? You pick an apple and you eat that apple, or you take the strawberry and eat that strawberry, and that strawberry or that apple is good, it's sweet. You know that that tree is actually a strong tree. It's a healthy tree by its fruit. When we're looking at people, right? Or when you're looking at your own life, you have to ask yourself, what is my consciousness around it? Well, just look, whatever your bank account is, that's where your money consciousness is. You can't lie. Right? Now, yes, there is a period of transition where you're going to feel richer. So matter will always take a little bit longer than consciousness, but it must be held in consciousness first, and then patience must be there. That's why you really shouldn't be looking at too much about the end result. You should give the results up and focus on your internal development. If you simply focus on your own development and internally cultivating the person that you want to be, your identity, then naturally matter will be attracted to you and in your equivalent. So if you want to look at your health, well, what's my health consciousness? Look at your body. It's telling you. What's my relationship like? It's telling you. So don't deny it. Use it as a tool and know that it can transform. It doesn't have to be that way, but it starts by telling the truth and accepting where you're at so that you can progress. But if you never accept where you're at, you can't progress because you're always going to be starting from a false place.
Yeah.
Right?
You see that in relationships a lot of the time, people pretending to be someone else, and they meet someone else pretending to be someone else, and it looks from the outside like, yeah, we really got it this time, but then underneath you find out, oh man, we're both like going through this, like the same stuff, we got these things we're not admitting to, and it's like underneath you see who you really attracted, whereas on the outside, even in the beginning especially, it seems like, oh wow, I've really cleared all that stuff, man. Like, but if it's still there, it's going to show up, in your relationship.
Yeah. And that's why you should just look at everything as a blessing, whether you perceive it as negative or positive. Everything is actually positive because the universe, God isn't acting against itself. There's nobody conspiring for you to be unsuccessful in this world. You think nature made you and was like, I really hope this one fails.
No, but that's why you have to accept the reality of where you're at so you can learn the lesson. If you don't accept, then you won't learn, and you'll keep getting these situations that you don't like again and again if you're not really being honest.
Yeah, you have to learn the lesson. You have to be like, oh, okay, this is where I'm at, like, and so wherever you're at, it's cool. Saying meaning don't beat yourself up. You have to learn the art of self-improvement while simultaneously self-acceptance.
It's basically self-improvement, but not being self-obsessed about it as well. That's what I find, because whether people think they're the best or their worst, it's still all about them. So even people that are too hard on themselves, you're making it too much about you, obsessing it. It's just, I need to make these improvements. I need to be more of service. I need to improve my life. But like, don't get so like self-absorbed about it where, you're thinking about it yourself all the time,
I think that's why ultimately the best way to go about this is to serve others, which we can say is, part of that last technique is accountability. It's not just you being accountable to someone else, but hold someone else accountable. Because when you hold other people accountable, it raises your own accountability. Like, for instance, I hold guys accountable to practicing semen retention and mastering their S3X energy. So guess what that means for me? I have to do it. And I know my power to be able, there's a nice story of Mahatma Gandhi. So a mother brought up the son to see Gandhi, right? And said, oh, please, Maharaj Gandhi, my son, he's so addicted to sugar, can't stop eating sugar. right? And so Gandhi said, tell him to stop eating sugar. This was the request of the mother. So Gandhi said, okay, come back in 1 week. And she was like, that's it? Yeah, come back in 1 week. Okay. So he goes for 1 week. She goes away. She comes back up the next week. Oh, I'm here. For the sugar. He said, yes, I remember. He looks at the sun and he goes, stop eating sugar. Okay, be gone. That was it, right? She's like, that was it? I waited a whole week for you just to say stop eating sugar? And he said, yes, I couldn't tell him to stop eating sugar before because I was eating sugar. So he said, so this week I fasted from sugar. Now stop eating sugar.
Nice.
Right? So Gandhi understood that power. That's how he influenced a whole nation, right? Because he did it himself. That's why his instruction was, be the change you want to see.
Yeah.
Right? Be it. Then it will come to you. And then you'll actually have the power to tell someone else. I've noticed this. Total transparency. When I am on point, on task, on track in all ways, my ability to coach and get results for men skyrocket. I've noticed it. I was like, oh shit, that is a serious responsibility. I was like, and then when I've fallen off the bandwagon in other times, my words don't carry the same vibration because it's energy and you cannot lie. That's why preachers or influencers or whoever that don't live their message, they're never as successful. You could see. They only get the basics because God will take care of you always just because he loves you. So the universe will always give you the basics, but you'll never get anything above that until you're responsible. And real responsibility means pretty much when nobody's looking, do you still do the right thing? When nobody's looking, do you still stick to your commitments? Do you recognize that your word is your creative tool in this world? So if you're just using your words whimsically, telling little white lies here and there because it's palatable, I'm really not satisfied with my life, but I just say I am. Well, why? You're never going to change it then. Making a sense?
Definitely, man. I just want to say that I'm an example of this, since joining the Semen Retention Army, because when you first join, you set some goals. So it was never about negation. It was never like no fap or like don't bust a nut or whatever. It was like, okay, these are your goals. These are the practices. So you're actively doing something. And then for me, it's the principle of a higher taste. You're doing these sexual alchemy practices. So then you get a higher taste. So naturally the taste for like, masturbation or busting nuts goes naturally. So it's the principle of the higher taste. So and when you first join the army, we have a chat with you and you set goals. And usually when guys join, it's like 1 month, if they can. And for me, that just went straight into my mind. Okay, the general has told me 1 month. That's what I have to do. Like I can't go under it. Like I made a commitment and I must. That's it. And so then it becomes like a positive goal you're going for, and doing all these practices and not November or whatever. And then all the other aspects too, the chatting with the guys and talking to you and getting information, the accountability, like it all really works if you make a commitment to do it. And it's a very, very powerful thing. I'm still learning to commit more. We've been talking so much about it this week, like commit more again, because it's powerful.
When you join the Become a Sexual Alchemy program, you get put into a special battalion, we call them, which is it's not just a support group, but it's continued education, where we're sharing this. And that's where Jake's talking about like we've been talking about commitment specifically. This is so we have our free WhatsApp group, but this is part of the paid program. And your level of commitment will determine ultimately your success.
Every time. Because now I'm a captain. I'm looking after the guys in the group, and we have so many discussions. But honestly, from what I can observe, the people who do the work and committed, they just get the results. And the ones who struggle, which is not a problem, that's what we're there for, to help them. But it's always because they're not doing the practices, or they're not somehow they're not fully committed to doing this, to doing the program. And it's so clear. It's always the reason.
And you know, it goes back to they're in an identity crisis, right? I want to be this higher man. I want to be this powerhouse man. I have all this potential I want to tap into, but I'm still identifying with the lower tastes, right? I still want to jerk off because that's easier. And that's why we have to recondition our mind and body. It's a process. And so you got to invest in yourself. You got to be committed to your own growth. And you have to see that investing in yourself is the best investment you'll ever make, because that stays with you for life, right? That stays with you forever. You know, you can people invest into shoes and iPhones and clothes and stuff. And then they still don't feel sexy or attractive or whatever. It's like, because you haven't committed to the feeling yet. And upgrading yourself. When you upgrade yourself, everything else will happen. You know, Jesus said, first seek God, and everything else shall be done unto you, and the kingdom is within you. First seek the kingdom of God, and everything else shall be given to you, and the kingdom is within you. So what he's telling you is, stop worrying about, I got to get my finances together. I got to stop busting a nut. I got to stop, I got all these insecurities. I got to seek the truth within you, who you are as spirit, soul, become self-realized as a soul, as energy, as consciousness, and live in that identity. And then everything else shall be done for you easily. You don't even have to strive. It literally comes to you. It's amazing. So here's the deal, guys. We share 3 techniques. We'll just quickly recap, and then I want to give you the access to that tool. Number 1 is have positive goals. So write a vision for your life, read it every morning, every night, feel into that vision, and use your remember that the secret is the subconscious mind. You have to put it into your subconscious mind, because it's your subconscious mind that's going to attract the circumstances and the scenarios that are playing out in your life. The subconscious mind is the feminine, the womb of creation. The conscious mind is the masculine, the protector and the provider of what goes in to that space. Okay. Number 2 is association. Get around like-minded men. Get around men that are growing. And that also means stop hanging around with a bunch of losers. Just stop it. Just stop it. Get around with powerhouse men. Get around with alchemists. Get around with men that are going somewhere, and ride their energy. Ride their coattail. That is literally what we do. We're basically like, hook on and come with me until you're strong enough to then hook on other people. And here we start to create a succession, a chain where we're all helping each other. So hook on. Don't have that pride. I'm going to do it myself. It's such bullshit. Hook on to somebody who's already going, and you're going to go way faster. And then number 3, accountability. And not just getting accountable yourself, but like Captain Jake did, he put himself in a position where he's now holding other men accountable. And so if you look inside of the description of this video, when the video recording, I guess, is off live or wherever you're looking, there's a link to a sponsor of ours called Relay. And Relay, this app, it's been really cool. We'll give you it's plugged in. It's to men all around the world who are practicing NoFap. And if you use the coupon code NAKULA, you get a 7-day free trial with that app, and you could try it out. Now, they're not necessarily associated with us and them and us and them. We have our own methodology inside the Semen Retention Army. So if you want to work with me specifically and Captain Jake specifically, then shoot me a message and we'll get you started. But Relay, I still like to promote them because they are a very accessible app. I think it's you get 7-day free when you use Nakula, and then I think it's like $16.99 a month or something like this, or $9.99 a month or something like this, to be able to access accountability, a group of men practicing NoFap specifically, and being able to track your progress and set positive goals. So they have all the elements built into it. They don't teach the sexual alchemy part. That's what myself and Jake teach. So if you're looking for that level of training, non-ejaculatory sex, transmutation of sexual energy, then send me a message and we'll get you started inside the Semen Retention Army and with our sexual alchemy training. But I did want to give you that as a tool. Again, it's something we're promoting because it's helped so many guys, especially guys that are really struggling with pornography. So if you're really struggling with pornography, that's the place to start. If you're at a place where you pretty much got porn under control, you're not like addicted or anything, and now you want to catch the higher taste, you want to do those higher practices, then reach out to either myself or Captain Jake, and we can jump on a call and show you how you can get started training with us inside of the Army. Yeah, man. All right, fellas. Thank you so much for joining us live. Thank you so much for those that are watching the recording. Make sure you subscribe, share this out. This is the most important work that's available right now on the planet because of the rise of internet pornography and the over-sexualization. I mean, we were just talking, myself, my wife, and Olivia, who works with us here, our video editor, just about how they're teaching kids now, like they're basically showing like pornography in schools. Like they're basically teaching kids, find a safe place in your house to masturbate. And, these are your parents having sex. And, there was one assignment. This was in Australia. The assignment was for the kids 4 or 5 years old to go home and ask their fathers about masturbation and ejaculation. This is the type of shit they're pushing right now. This is like Sodom and Gomorrah type shit. You know what I mean? If you're familiar with the Bible, basically it's when society goes to its worst. It's when we're overly, when basically anything goes, non-truthful sexual interactions, and pornography has completely stolen the minds and power of men. All right, guys, have a fantastic day. Good luck with No Nut November. Reach out to us if you need help. And even if you don't need help, join and help others. We're creating a whole community of men supporting men and up-leveling our life. Peace.
Soldiers retained. Real strong men are self-controlled. Their info is plain. If you don't know, feel that energy flow right into your brain. Your whole game will change. Soldiers retained. Soldiers retained. Soldiers